If Emily Kaiser told me to jump off a cliff, I probably would.
The title of this is If You Want an Obsessed, all caps, audience, build a parasocial presence. What? Okay, so on this channel, we talk a lot about parasocial relationships when it comes to family bloggers, because when you watch someone's family online for years, it can get pretty easy to feel like you know these people. But something that we haven't talked about nearly as much is parasocial relationships when it comes to regular influencers. And I think it's something that's gotten a lot worse over the years. And I'm not even talking about knowing a weird amount of information about certain influencers, because think about it. You might know what their house looks like, what they like to eat, where they go to Pilates, what their kids are doing that day. And when you really stop and think about it, it's kind of bizarre that hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions of people know these minor details about certain influencers. But honestly, that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who have developed a genuine emotional connection to influencers they've never met and never will meet. People who will go to bat for them over literally anything, who talk about them like they are their close personal friend or family member. And in some cases, people who don't just want to watch these influencers, they want to become these influencers. I'm talking about the truly unhinged side of parasocial relationships. And what actually inspired me to make this video was a few different videos that came up on my For You page on TikTok about Emily Kaiser. And these videos are of different women who were talking about Emily in a way that genuinely made me think that they personally knew her. The way they were talking about her, you would think she was their sister. And it got me thinking how incredibly easy TikTok has made it to develop these relationships with people we've never met, and how easy something that starts off completely harmless can turn into something really, really unhealthy. So let's get out the rabbit hole and see just how far and how crazy some of these parasocial relationships have gone. Okay, so if you don't know what a parasocial relationship is, the definition is a one sided psychological connection where a person feels a deep sense of intimacy, friendship, or familiarity with someone who does not know they exist. And when doing my research for this, I actually learned some new things that I didn't know about when talking about parasocial relationships, because I actually thought it was a recently coined phrase, and that's actually not the case, because it actually started in 1956 by psychologists Donald Horton and Richard Wool. When TV started taking off, they started noticing that people were developing a quote, illusion of intimacy with people they were seeing on TV. And so for decades, we, the viewers, were creating parasocial relationships with people and characters that we have watched on TV, and we probably didn't even realize that's what we were doing. Honestly, something that comes to mind, and if any of you millennials are watching, let me know if this brings back some memories for you. But do you remember when Laguna Beach was really popular and you would walk into places like Hollister and there were two shirts you could buy? You were either Team LC or you were Team Kristen. We didn't personally know Lauren Conrad or Kristen Cavallari, but based on a show that we were all watching, a show that was highly produced with manufactured drama, we were all going to bat for whichever woman, LC or Kristen, that we were taking sides with. It was parasocial, but tell middle school me that, I wouldn't have taken it that way. I would not have thought of it as parasocial, but that's exactly what it was. That was a television show, and I think what's the most different about parasocial relationships now as compared to back then is that TikTok has helped facilitate these relationships to a whole new, far more personal relationship. When I started doing my research for this video and I started thinking about parasocial relationships, I looked at it as a strictly negative thing, but there are actually some benefits to parasocial relationships depending on how you look at it, such as parasocial relationships can help with loneliness, they can validate someone's feelings, and they can provide a sense of community without the social anxiety of having a real life interaction. Not that I personally think that is the best solution to dealing with those types of issues and those problems. I don't think that's a good solution, but I do understand how parasocial relationships can provide a level of comfort to someone who's dealing with loneliness, to someone who's dealing with anxiety. But the drawbacks to a parasocial relationship are what is very truly concerning. because they can blur personal boundaries, they can lead to unrealistic expectations, and can cause deep emotional distress. Okay, so let's talk about what inspired this video, and that is Emily Kaiser. And I'm not going to be talking a whole lot about her and what's going on with her. Trust me, I have my opinions, and I think as far as being a person in the commentary space, everything that is possible, everything that you could have possibly said about it has already been said. So for this video, at least, I want to mainly focus on her audience because I feel like I have yet to see a more parasocial audience in the influencer space than Emily Kaiser's. Now, the family vlogger space, that's a whole separate conversation. But as far as influencers go, yeah, hers takes the cake. Okay, so this first TikTok that I want to show you, it says crying happy tears for Emily and this beautiful chapter. And then this woman's caption says, the way she carries herself is truly something so rare. My heart is exploding with so much love. And this is a beautiful reminder that hope can coexist with grief. And this woman is filming herself crying, which could be its own whole deep dive of a video because why do so many people start crying and then film themselves or set up their tripod and then get in front of it and then start crying? It's a whole other level of delusion and crazy, if you ask me, but that's not the video's topic for today. But anyway, this woman is crying happy tears about what I'm assuming is Emily's pregnancy announcement, because I think it was around the time that she announced that she was pregnant. And you would think that she knew Emily personally, that it was her sister or her friend, because why else would you be crying like that? Like, imagine getting to a point where you are this emotional about someone you've never met, someone who doesn't know you exist. It's weird. And the comments agreed. Someone said, this is so weird, actually. Someone said, the internet is so strange. I'm on the wrong side of TikTok. This is just weird. I will never understand one sided internet relationships. You don't know her. You know what she wants you to see. But this wasn't the only TikTok that came across my page that was just plain bizarre regarding Emily Kaiser. So with this video I'm about to show you that this woman posted, I genuinely thought it was a parody of some sort. Uh, but upon further inspection, I don't think it is.
If Emily Kaiser told me to jump off a cliff, I probably would. I am 12 days postpartum, covered in breast milk from a night of feeding. I'm going to take an everything shower. But 2 days ago, Emily Kaiser posted on her Instagram story her skincare lineup. And I read that like it was the Bible. And so I purchased 90% of the items that she had posted. So I will show you the lineup. I'm going to take an everything shower and then we're going to do the full skincare routine. And I'm going to do this every day until my skin looks like Emily Kaiser's.
Emily gets Botox and fillers and goes to estheticians. I probably pronounced that wrong, but you know, getting a few products, you're not going to have the same skin as Emily. I have more to say on all this, but I'm going to fast forward through the actual skincare and just get to the end.
Hopefully in a few weeks, I will be looking just like Emily Kaiser, who, by the way, I just saw on Instagram is pregnant. I'm like dying over that news. I'm so happy for her. Biggest thing is staying consistent with the routines.
Okay, and I forgot to mention that her caption for the video is my good friend Emily put me on this routine. Yeah. Also, staying consistent is not going to get you the same results. Like I said, you need to actually get Botox and things like that if you want exactly what she has. But if you've watched Mean Girls, and I'm sure that you have because it's an amazing classic movie. But do you remember the scene where the girls were talking about how cool Katie is and they want to be just like her?
I saw Katie Heron wearing army pants and flip-flops, so I bought army pants and flip-flops.
Yeah, that's what this reminds me of. And the thing is, that was supposed to be funny in the movie because it was. It was a joke. Those girls were idolizing Katie and Regina, and it was a joke. It was showcasing just how pathetic they all were, basically worshiping a fellow classmate who didn't know they existed. And that's exactly what this reminds me of, except that was a fictional movie and this is real life. Okay, something I've also seen many videos pop up is of women who try to copy Emily Kaiser, try to be just like her, and it's also very scary.
And so I think just like literally repeating that, I was like, okay, well, if it's working, it's working.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Like every day I posted a morning vlog, every day I posted a hair tutorial, every day I posted like
And her caption says, just a little nudge to keep going. She did it, such an inspo. And this was posted just a couple months ago in June. Now, I get it if someone wants to make some money on social media, on TikTok, and they try to follow another TikToker's formula for how they did it. Emily was saying in that clip exactly how she got her success. I say I get that. I don't say I agree with it because I think that at the end of the day, wouldn't you want someone to follow you, for being authentically you? Not having to basically cosplay someone else's life, someone else's day to day routine in order to get success. But anyway, whatever. My point is, out of all the influencers to do this with, why would anyone want to emulate Emily Kaiser? At the end of the day, Emily got to a level of success and fame where her aesthetics were her everything. So much so that she chose aesthetic over safety. And that choice changed the trajectory of her life in the worst way possible. So I don't know why anyone would want to replicate that, to copy that. But it goes back to the parasocialness of it all. And for whatever reason, Emily Kaiser's audience is some of the worst that I've personally seen. And all the comments on this woman's TikTok were like, yes, girl, same. Like, I genuinely reading comments like that and seeing a lot of videos like that felt like I was in the Twilight Zone doing my research for this video. It's just wild to me. Now, segueing, I saw this other TikTok that someone posted of an influencer named Jake Shane. They saw him at their dermatologist office and secretly took photos and posted them. Now, they didn't even take a photo with him. They secretly took photos of him and posted them. And she wrote, "Day made. I saw Jake Shane at my dermatologist today." And then in the caption, she tagged him and wrote, "I love you." Now, it's one thing if you see somebody famous and they're out walking, they're out to eat, whatever, and you take a picture. But it's a whole other level of crazy to secretly take a picture of someone at the doctor's. Can we agree on that? Oh, and then proceed to post it. Now, did she post the dermatologist's name? No. But I don't think it would take a lot of investigative work. People have found out way more complicated things on the internet. It just feels so invasive to me doing something like that. And did any of her comments call her out for it? No, absolutely not. Unless she deleted them. But no, they were all supporting what she did, which was her feeling some type of closeness to this influencer that she felt comfortable enough to secretly take pictures of him at the doctor's and posted them for all to see. It's very strange behavior, and to me, it's even stranger that nobody was calling her out for this. I know that celebrities have been photographed by paparazzi for decades, but we should never normalize people because at the end of the day, celebrity or not, influencer or not, these are human beings and they deserve to have a level of respect and a level of privacy when they're at the damn doctors. I feel like parasocial relationships with celebrities has obviously been a big thing for a really, really long time, and social media has only made it worse. Honestly, I think that could be an entire video of its own, but for the sake of this video today, I do think there's a bit of a distinction between influencers and celebrities. For one, celebrities often come with a certain level of separation. They have security, they live in gated communities, they have assistants, publicists, managers. There's usually a pretty obvious barrier between them and the average person. And a lot of the time, people are also becoming attached to a character that the celebrity plays rather than feeling like they personally know the celebrity. Obviously, there are plenty of exceptions to that. There's Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, Hailey Bieber, just to name a few, but you get what I mean. With influencers, I think that the boundaries are a lot blurrier because so many influencers become popular specifically because they're so relatable. They were the everyday person. They weren't this untouchable celebrity living some completely foreign lifestyle. They were the girl filming in her bedroom, showing you what she bought from the store, taking you along to get coffee, talking about her relationship, showing you her messy house. They're presenting themselves as someone you could actually know, someone that you could actually be friends with. And I think that's what makes the parasocial relationships with influencers that much more intense. Because they're not necessarily selling you the idea that they're a celebrity. They're selling you the idea that they are just like you. Now, here's the kicker of it all. While, yes, parasocial relationships have gotten out of control, It's more often than not the influencer who specifically designed it that way.
Girl, we need to debrief. I just got back from Nashville. I just ordered so much food from my favorite sushi place, so I figured you guys could eat with me.
Going on another breakfast date this morning. We tried to go to
And ironically will get mad when they don't like your opinion or the input that their audience gave them that they asked for. Because when they say things like, hey, bestie, let's chat. I love you. I'm obsessed with you guys. I need your guys' opinion because you guys are my besties. And then they proceed to share intimate details about their life. Yeah, that's helping to build parasocial relationships with your audience. And I think a lot of these influencers think that because they're choosing what they show and what they don't show, that they are setting healthy boundaries. But again, using this type of language, divulging secrets, setting up channels on Instagrams where you treat it like a group chat with literal strangers is anything but healthy. But the thing is, these influencers, they know that. They know that creating these types of unhealthy relationships can work to their advantage.
How about you, but there's definitely like certain people who are creating content that I would defend in their comment section if they were like being attacked in any sort of way. And these are people that I have never met face to face. I've never spoken to them. I've never been in the same room with them, but I would go to bat for her like she was my bestie. That is what we call a parasocial relationship. And it is the most powerful thing that you could build using your social media. It's more powerful than your marketing. It's more powerful than your content strategy. It is more powerful than your launch strategy. The parasocial relationship trumps everything. So here's what it is at its core. Basically, your audience feels like they know you and they really trust you. They fuck with you. In many ways, they actually do know you and trust you. They know your personality because you've been posting it. They understand your beliefs because you've been speaking them. They've watched your evolution over time. They've watched you start and get better and better and better and grow and grow. And they trust your perspective, your lived experience. They've been along for the ride. What they don't have with you is a mutual relationship. And that's not deception or manipulation. That's not what this is. This is just the structure of social media, of media. Humans have actually been doing this forever. With storytellers, with religious leaders, authors, actors, public figures. We attach to the people that we consume consistently. We let them into our mental state, into our mental world. And then we think about something that they said days later. They linger with us. And we also feel from them like they would get us. They would see us. Social media just like put that process on caffeine. So let's talk about how it's built and how it happens so that you can start doing this. If you aren't already, we want to double down on this for you. It's not just through the strategy. The strategy is important, but what's missing from the strategy is the specificity. So when you share real stories, which I hope you're doing, it's not just your struggles, but it's also your core values, your character, your morals, or the unglamorous parts of your life. So your audience stops seeing this as so much content output and starts seeing the person behind the creation itself. And this is also where they become familiar with you. They start to trust you. And all of that familiarity, that trust, it's not built through your tips and your knowledge and your information that you give them. It has nothing to do with your hooks or your hashtag. It is truly built through consistent, specific human expression over time. And so I know I'm repeating myself, but the difference between having a following with a bunch of fans, people who watch you, and an obsessed audience is that the obsessed audience knows you. They feel like they know you. They defend you. They think about you. They send your videos to their friends, and they want in on your world off of social media. They want to hire you. They want to be led by you. They want proximity to you. And that is what I would recommend that you start building. But it does start with you letting them in. And for some women, that's a really tough time, but we can work on that.
And in case if you are just listening, you're not watching the video, the title of this is if you want an obsessed, all caps, audience, build a parasocial presence. What? And I'm glad that some of these comments disagreed with her. Someone said parasocial relationships can become harmful. This is such a dangerous take. It comes with risks too. Celebrities live in gated exclusive communities and or with security, which exactly. But yes, while I do think that, being genuine, being authentic is part of what makes a lot of influencers successful, I don't necessarily think that we should be encouraging people to intentionally create parasocial relationships with their audience as a marketing strategy. I just think that's seems very dangerous. And again, what we see is that some of these influencers who do use this as a marketing strategy, as a tool, they are the first ones to get very upset when they don't like the response that the audience is giving them, that the opinion that their audience is giving them. They'll say things like, you only see a tiny fraction of my life. You don't actually know me. I'm only choosing what I choose to share. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's completely fair. But you are also the one who is constantly talking to your audience like they are your best friends in the entire world. So you kind of have to pick a lane here. Do you want your audience to feel like they're your besties, who you're inviting into all of these intimate parts of your life? Or do you want them to understand that there are boundaries and that ultimately they don't actually know you. Because you can't have the intimacy of a friendship when it's convenient for you, and then suddenly pull the "you don't know me" card when the audience starts acting like they do in fact know you. And I think a really interesting example of this currently playing out is with Zoe Suggs, also known as Zoella. She was one of the original lifestyle YouTubers. She's been around for a very, very long time, and her audience has become very attached to her. Well, she and her partner Alfie Days have taken sort of a break, I guess. They stopped posting and they haven't said why, and it's been 8 months. And going from daily updates and videos for over a decade to radio silence, her audience has been genuinely concerned. And it's caused a lot of discussion over, whether or not she owes anyone an explanation for her absence.
Okay, so I actually cannot believe that I am sat here making this video, but it has been 7 months since Zoe Sugg stopped posting and just disappeared from the internet. So let's talk about it. And like many of you guys, Zoe Sugg was a big part of my childhood. It was a way that I used to relax and unwind after school on the weekends. I would watch their videos, that whole group, and I was just obsessed. Like, it was one of the reasons that I really wanted to go to Brighton, and we'd go visit family friends down there, and every time we went around there, I would be looking for spots that Zoe had recommended in her videos, and it was such a wholesome, lovely time in my life that I think back to with so much joy. And so watching her videos is just so nostalgic for me. And it does feel like I knew her, which I know is crazy. And also, I suffered with anxiety. And back then, I did not know anybody who had anxiety. And I was so young. So, like, for somebody to be putting my feelings and thoughts and everything into a video and be public, and all these people would be like, oh my God, I have anxiety too. It was a massive thing. And she was a big part of, like, raising me and growing up, which is mental to say the impact that these people can have on us, because I feel like it's different to a celebrity, because you feel closer to them because they're sharing their everyday life, like their brand is them. But anyway, this whole thing has just made me think about whether she owes us an explanation, because obviously it's a big topic of conversation right now, and my take on it is that she does absolutely not owe us an explanation. At the end of the day, once upon a time, she started creating these videos. She had no idea that it would blow up and become what it became. She did not go into it thinking that that would happen, and it kind of just fell into her lap, and she was very, very young. But I also think that as a consumer, we choose to consume that content. We choose to buy the products that we bought, like the Zoe Advent calendar, all of that stuff. We chose to consume that content. We chose to buy these things. And so, of course, she does not owe us an explanation. And yet, part of me feels like I want one, and part of me feels like she should, as a kind gesture, as a last little hurrah, as a peace of mind for a lot of people, I guess. But the thing is she absolutely doesn't owe us an explanation. We willingly chose to absorb that content, and she willingly posted it. So if the day that a content creator stops deciding to post, then they owe you nothing. But there's something quite brutal about that, and there's something that feels wrong about it. But at the same time, I completely understand it, because she's now a parent. Her life changed so much when she started that YouTube channel. And yes, she's obviously gained a lot from it. She's obviously got a lot of wealth from it, and a certain lifestyle that she's acquired through us viewers watching her content. But that was our own choice, and she also never knew that it would become that. But I'd like to know what you guys think, because it's a really interesting one, and I've never actually experienced this before.
Okay, and the comments on this says she does owe her fans her livelihood. It's a job, and like in other jobs, going MIA for 7 months does have consequences. Somebody said, I like the way someone else framed it, as she definitely doesn't owe anyone anything. It's more just rude. And that's kind of my take. Do they owe us anything? Or the audience? I never really watched her much. I know she is. I'm familiar with her, but do they owe their audience anything? No. But and I might get a little bit of heat for this, because I know Zoella is very, 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 people absolutely love her. But the reality is, she has created a parasocial relationship with her audience for over a decade. That's just the reality of it. So to do that, to invite people into her life the way that she has for as many years as she has, and then to go radio silence, she has every right, yes. But she also can't get upset or confused when it is causing such a big discussion online, when people are worried and concerned and asking over and over the same questions over and over again. But it's like Zoe and Alfie both created this. So the question is, where do we go from here? And I don't necessarily think the answer is to stop watching content that you enjoy. I think it's just to become a little more aware of what we're consuming and what we're putting our emotional energy towards. Influencers are going to continue giving us more and more access to their lives, and places like TikTok are only going to get better at making that content feel more personal. And I think that honestly, calling out the normalization of parasocial relationships, it's not a bad idea either. I think you can do it in a nice way, but for example, with the Jake Shane video, I feel like it would have been nice if there were some people in the comment section who called it for what it truly is. And that's very invasive and very weird instead of fueling the behavior. But anyway, I think that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know what you guys think of my setup. Shout out to my husband. He helped me get things a little more cleaned up and put together finally. So it's not always changing, where I'm looking at the camera and should I have my blind up or down? Like, I'm hoping now things are a bit more uniform. So hope you guys have a great day and I will see you guys next time. Bye.